Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make this really creepy coffin cake that looks like there's someone trying to pull it apart. So to start, we're going to take a 12" by 12" chocolate cake and we're going to level the top off. So gently score around the edges and then carefully and slowly pull your knife all the way through. Now I used a double batch of my chocolate cake to make this. Then just get down at eye level with it and you can just take off the top layer if it's a little bit uneven. Now you're going to split your cake in half, so I find it easiest to make a mark at the top and then make the same mark at the bottom, and then if you line these two marks up you can make a nice straight line that won't be wonky. So then cut through both those cakes. So now you should have two cakes that are 12" by 6" and 12" by 6". Then you can just stack those on top of each other to make sure they're the same size. If they're not, well, I don't know what you can do. Probably have to rebake them. So now you're going to take your Coffin template, and I'll leave a link to the one that I used down below, and just lay that on top of your cake. Then take your ruler and place it along one of the edges, and then you can remove that template. And removing the template just means that you've got less stuff in the way. And just slice down along the ruler. Just go slowly, take your time, and make sure you're sawing through, not pushing through the cake. Then just repeat this step on all 4 corners of the cake. And the next thing you want to do is make a mark halfway through the cake, again making a mark at both ends, and then just score through the cake this time, don't cut. Then with your knife on an angle, you're going to make a cut down to the edge of the cake. And this is going to create the fact that the coffin is being opened from the inside. So cut on that angle along one side and then repeat it again on the other side. Now again, whenever you're carving a cake, just go slowly, take your time. It's easier to go slow and make it better than that. Just didn't make sense, ignore that. It's better to go slow and take your time than rush it and have a wonky cake. Now you're going to take some chocolate buttercream, and the link for this and the cake recipe will be in the description box below. And you're going to spread a little pat of buttercream onto your cake board and add your first layer of cake. Now we're going to work with simple syrup. This is really easy, just 1 part sugar, 1 part water, boil it and cool it. As easy as that. And you're just going to brush that all over your cake. You want to make a nice even layer, and this doesn't make the cake soggy, it just keeps it moist. So once that's evenly spread across, you're going to add some buttercream to the center of the cake and just spread that out as evenly as possible. Now if your simple syrup hasn't quite soaked in yet, you might find that the buttercream won't stick as easily, but if you just really spread it out, it should be alright. So spread your buttercream all over the cakes and make sure you get it right into the corners, because otherwise you'll find your coffin droops a bit. Then you can add your next layer of cake and some more simple syrup on top of that. Now it is important here to make sure your simple syrup does soak in before you start icing, otherwise your cake is going to go crazy. Now I'm just taking a small amount of buttercream and placing it on the top of the cake, and we're just going to build up that ridge a little bit more. So just take the offcuts and you're just going to place those around the top. I hope you didn't eat those offcuts because you need them. Now that we've got more of a defined angle, you can just add some more buttercream over that. And we're going to give it a crumb coat. So this is just a thin layer of icing that secures all the crumbs to the cake. And when you do your final ice, it will stop the crumbs from coming out. Now take a piece of parchment paper and lay it onto a chopping board. And we're going to take some white fondant and just knead it until it's softened. Then roll it out. You want this to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So once you've rolled your fondant out, you're going to just take a ruler and a knife and just cut off the rounded edges so you've got a nice rectangular shape. Now depending on how big you make this, you may need to do 1 or 2 of these to make sure that you can get enough pieces to cover all of your cake. So now line your ruler up against the side of the fondant and just make marks about 1 centimeter or 2 all the way down. Then using a fondant tool, you're just going to pull through the fondant and just make an imprint. We're definitely not cutting this fondant, just making an imprint in the surface of the fondant, following those lines across. Now, as I was making several parallel lines, I didn't need to do it on both sides, but if you wanted to make the marks on both sides like we did with the cake, feel free. Now using that same tool, you're just going to make marks perpendicular to those first lines. Now it's important here not to make them too regular, otherwise you'll find it looks like brickwork. So make them relatively long and make sure that they're all different lengths, make sure they're all different lengths. Now you're going to take anything round, I'm using another fondant tool, and just make 2 little divots at either end of the planks. And this is where the planks really start to look like wood. Next we're going to paint this. This is the best bit where it really starts to come to life. I'm taking some brown gel food colouring and a bit of white rum. Now if you don't want to use rum, you could use lemon extract or anything clear, and that's going to help your paint evaporate. Then just take a paintbrush and you're just going to brush it liberally all over the surface of that fondant. Make sure you're brushing in one direction along the grain of the planks. Then you're going to take a finer paintbrush, and because where we made those grooves, the paint probably won't have got in there, so just add some paint into those and then go across again, and that's going to remove the excess bits of paint. Now you're going to measure the sides of your coffin, and then you're going to slice using a pizza cutter along that fondant. Now measure out your pieces carefully and make sure that they fit properly, because you don't really want to rub this fondant too much because you'll lose the wood grain pattern. Then you're going to place those on the side of your cake. It's a lot better here to make sure that they're too big rather than too small, because it's easier to cut them than to spread them. So just using a piece of parchment paper, just press that in, and then like I said, if it's a little bit too big like mine was, you can just gently cut it away to make sure it's even. And on the side as well. Now you can take a bit more of that paint and just top up that white surface where we cut, and that's going to make sure it's a lot more even. Then you can repeat this step with all your other pieces. So with the top piece cut out, you're going to take a small scalpel and just make imprints as if the wood has cracked into 2. Then place each of these on top of your cake on either side. And again, you will need to paint that white surface where you've cut through. Make sure you line up the cuts as well, so it makes it look more even. If you do have any few gaps like this, you can very gently press the 2 pieces of fondant together. Now you're going to take some white fondant and roll some little tubes that are a bit thinner at one end, and you're going to need about 8 of these, and you're going to put 4 at the top and 4 a little bit further down, and these are going to be the fingers that are pulling the coffin apart. And then you're just going to go crazy and just top it with Oreo crumb, dirt, I added these little maggots, some fake blood, a bit of grass, just whatever you want to bring the cake alive. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment of what you'd like to see me make in the future. You can click here to see my last video and here to see a video randomly selected by YouTube for you.